Just gonna record all you. And then at the end, remember?
Yeah, dude.
I'm sure you showed
Wait, what'd you do?
Yes. We are at almost every point of our day immersed in cultural diversity, faces, clothes, smells, attitudes, values, traditions, behaviors, beliefs, and rituals. We live in a great country that is filled with many different cultures and beliefs that we have the ability to discover and learn new things that come with that. If we would be able to communicate with different races than just American, new doors of possibilities would be open for an individual who can speak more than one language, whether it is in the workforce, at school, or even at home in our daily lives. We as people could be missing out on many awesome opportunities that we should be taking to become and work towards becoming a stronger country based on accepting each other's differences. That is why foreign languages should be required for students starting at an early age of schooling. The world we live in today is becoming more and more diverse every single day. People are migrating to not only the U.S., but China, France, Russia, Brazil, multiple different countries, and some people have no clue how to communicate with anyone. Although this problem is current and has been an issue from the day one of this country being founded, we have no idea how to communicate with the Native Americans, let alone cooperate with them. Then later on in history, to the opening of Ellis Island's immigration station in 1892. Everyone welcomed immigrants to this country. They immigrated here for a better living for themselves and families, but they just formed neighborhoods that all share the same cultures and languages. The lack of communication from culture to culture still played a role in communities back then and still do today. Our workforce and our entire economy are strongest when we embrace diversity to its fullest. And that means opening doors of opportunity to everyone and recognizing that the American dream excludes no one. The definition of diversity is the concept of accepting and respecting our individual differences. That is the reason why people come to America, to be able to share those differences with each other in a nurturing environment. America is filled with many different languages: Spanish, French, Chinese, Latin, Portuguese, and we all have the opportunity to learn these languages and be able to communicate with different kinds of people. Think of this. You're walking down Manhattan, and a lady in front of you collapses because her sugar is too low. And all she needs is some candy, and you have no idea because she speaks Arabic. What would you do? Be able to communicate with her could have made a huge difference. In the job world today, the skills that you have as an individual that can set you apart from the person next to you will only benefit you in the long run. Foreign languages being one of those skills, the demand for multilingual education at an early age for kids has exploded in the growth in the last 10 years. This meaning that the industries and workforce have put premiums on foreign languages skills for potential employees in their individual areas and will even pay more. I think there are a lot of parents looking at their children's futures and see learning a second language as a worthy investment. There are many fields where being bilingual will have a huge impact on your chances. Healthcare facilities are in need of multilingual people who can communicate information with their parents and families, usually during emergencies. Being a teacher just in the U.S. can expose you to a variety of cultures. Looking at elementary schools, you can see how the classes are becoming more and more diverse of multilingual households. Our government could benefit a lot with world communications with people that are multilingual. Our relationships with foreign countries could be strengthened and further work on issues in a positive way. Law enforcement is another field that looks for people that can speak multi-languages. They're useful from investigating crimes, interviewing witnesses, or even responding to emergencies. In addition to all of these different types of careers, a sign language interpreter are needed across America in deaf schools. There are tons of fields that can use multilingual people working for them because they know it benefits both sides, the employer and the employee. An MIT economist found that an American who learns a foreign language will get an extra earning of 2% in their starting salary. People understand what this means for a country, but yet only 18% of Americans decide to put effort in learning an extra language. You will stand out in the line of people waiting to get interviewed for a job if you know how to speak an extra language. 18% of Americans report speaking a second language other than English, whereas in Europe, 53% of Europeans can converse in a second language. Why is that? In Europe, they're surrounded by countries that don't speak the same language rather than in America. we have one big country that speaks the same language. They learn these languages for the fact that they will use it and will benefit all of them at some point in their lifetime as a whole. The facts are stated of how beneficial learning a second language can and would be. But how do we as a country go upon making this happen? For starters, programs of foreign languages should be installed into elementary schools across the U.S. It is proven that if a child is learning more than one language at the same time, they will learn both at the same rate without one language inhibiting the other. Students who have studied a foreign language do perform better on standardized tests, such as the ACT or the SAT or the ACT, due to the fact that they have more advanced reading and comprehending skills. They gain the ability to apply the insights and experiences of one language to the other. As they continue to grow, this becomes a greater advantage. Plus, just being able to read more than one language is extremely impressive. As children, they find many things interesting and enjoy learning new things. The grasp of a bigger view of the world increases, and they can build a cultural connections with others. In contrast, those in America argue that because they speak English, which is dominantly spoken around the world, they do not need to know any other language. Those people are the ones that do not believe and cannot accept change. America is growing in the vast of languages that are being exposed in many communities. Some people believe that people coming from other countries into this one should learn English and quit providing them with added-on cost Spanish teachers in schools. Yes, that is something that should happen as well, but English is one of the hardest languages to try and learn in general. The aspects and components of the language is extremely complicated to where people who start to learn just end up giving up. Lots of people agree that by the time you get to the 7th grade, it makes learning a foreign language a lot harder compared to when you were little. Although some schools just don't have the resources to provide students with these classes, some ways would be to set up a budget for teachers that can provide that service. Make cuts in areas where funding is not needed. Lastly, get help from your communities and state to provide you with the funding for foreign languages. These are all things that can be done. People just need to have the will and strength to follow through. There are 2 things that are required when wanting to learn a second language: genuine interest/motivation and relatable clarity. On the other hand, others have different excuses to not wanting to learn another language, such as age or not having enough time. Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein, H. Jackson Brown Jr. One big thing is that people like to overestimate the time it takes to learn a language just to the level of an intermediate. It doesn't have to take years to learn. Just be as consistent as possible. In addition to this, people overestimate the time they spend on doing daily activities. If people could make better use of their dead time, which is the time in between various activities, you would be better off time-based. On the other hand, age does play a role in learning a language. It is easier to start learning a language at a younger age because everything just sticks to you because it's new and interesting. As for when you're older, things become harder to remember and stick with you because your functions begin to wear down. To wrap this up, people will always have excuses to anything they don't want to do in their everyday lives, and they will usually stick to it. Foreign language is required for students starting at an early age of schooling. America is becoming extremely diverse, that therefore being able to be multilingual could help everyone in someday finding a stable job, communicating in your communities, or even in your own home. Our country as a whole could become way ahead of other countries and be the supreme power if we could communicate with other countries in better ways. People will always have excuses to not to do something that they don't want to put effort for. Well, some of those people don't realize the positives it could have on them or even in their own kids someday. The U.S. could start implementing foreign language courses into curriculums across the country beginning the first day any little kids start school because they pick up things a lot easier at an early age. In conclusion, learning another language will set up kids for success and learning future things in their lives. All right, hold up, I got a video.
Viva Mexico.
If it ain't white, it ain't right. White collar.
Committee launched an inquiry into the teaching of foreign languages in primary schools. This followed a government recommendation that children should learn a second language for primary 1 and a third by primary 5. The committee is now halfway through the inquiry, so what have they learned so far? Some witnesses have told the committee that the government may have to provide more money to make this project work. Others have said an audit of the language skills that teachers themselves have would be useful. Evidence suggests that no language is more difficult than another for a child to learn, but the ability to learn is a skill for life. And finally, that Scots are missing out on employment opportunities by not having foreign languages. The committee's convener, Christina McKelvey, explained the next stage.
We've heard a lot of varied evidence. We've visited different areas, cities and including more rural areas. The key element that's coming out is the positivity of children and the engagement that they have, engagement that the parents have, and how that is then playing out in the households, which is really, really interesting. Parents starting up after school clubs so they can learn languages. And so there's a lot of buy-in for pupils, teachers and parents. The next stage is to speak to the Scottish Government. So we obviously get the opportunity when the Minister comes to committee in the next few weeks to present them with all of the evidence, including the challenges and the problems that people have experienced, and to talk about how we can then resolve some of that going forward. But that's what a pilot's all about. It's about learning the lessons and then hopefully fixing the glitches.
This inquiry has been one of the most popular discussions on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and the committee want to hear your views, so why not get involved?
Nice.